President also Mayor George Hilson, Hope Virtual HR Director Fred Mueller, Financial Service Officer, etc. Okay, to approve the minutes for the previous meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Jim Olson.
Second.
Second by Harvey Bertrand. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 3 is public input. Is there anyone wishing to address Finance Personnel Committee? Again, is there anyone wish to address the Finance and Personnel Committee? Third and final call, anyone wishing to address the Finance and Personnel Committee? If not, we'll move on, and unless there's objection to the board, I'd like to move on down to item number 15, actually 15, 16 to 17. Brad Vikens here with us from Baird. Brad.
Thank you. There's a packet included with your agenda packet that provides an overview of this financing plan. I'll walk through that and answer any questions. So the overall plan that was developed this year really follows a very similar track to the plan that the city has used for the last 3 years. There's 2 sets of financings. One set is a short-term or 5-year state trust fund loan, and that's item 15 on your agenda. The purpose of that loan is to fund capital improvement projects that are not eligible for long-term bonding under Wisconsin state statute. And we carve out the ineligible pieces for bonding. What's left over would be funded through the long-term bonding. It's a 20-year issue, and that's items 17, 18, 19, 20 on your agenda. I'm sorry, 17A through H on your agenda. A series of resolutions authorizing the financing. That resolution under letter H is one that brings the financing package under one umbrella, so you have one issuance of bonds. So the summary page in your packet, then the state trust fund loan issue size is $242,355, and you can see under the purpose there the listing of items on your capital improvement project program that would be funded through that loan. The state loan has annual principal and interest payments beginning March 15th of 2018 with the final payment in 2022, and their current rate is 3% for this loan. The second financing on the right-hand side is the long-term bond, a 20-year financing to fund your other capital improvement projects. That's $3,295,000. Here you would have annual principal payments each October beginning in 2018 with the final payment in 2036, and then interest beginning April 1st of next year, and then semi-annually thereafter. So in terms of any payments this year, there's no budgetary impact to the city, but you will see the funds come in and be available for the projects. Let's see, the state trust fund loan, I'll just point out you have an annual call feature there each year between January 1st and August 31st. And on the longer term bond issue, the final 10 years of the repayment are callable at your option. So the estimated rate on that long-term bond is 3.22%. The rationale for the terms of the repayment here on the state trust fund loan, because that's a 3% rate, we wanted to get that paid off as soon as we can, because if we would stretch that out further, the rates from the state trust fund loan start to increase. So we're trying to get what would otherwise be a higher cost of debt paid off early. The timetable on the following page, with your authorization and adoption of these resolutions this evening, so this would go before the full council at its February 14th meeting. Baird and city staff would take the steps necessary to bring this issue to market. So that includes getting the rating updated, preparing the offering documents, and then marketing to the investors, to the underwriters nationwide. And then I would be back at the meeting on March 14th to present the award resolution on the bond issue. And that would be the resolution that finalizes the rates and terms on the long-term bond. The state trust fund loan rate, as soon as that application is sent in, that rate's locked at 3%, so that won't change. The funds will be wired and available to the city on April 4th. And then just finally, to wrap up briefly, I've included the detailed repayment schedule on the final page. What I would point out, the boxed-in area represents the principal and interest payments on the new financings. There are some offsetting revenues, offsetting the tax levy, and that's revenues associated with your enterprise, your water system, sewer, and stormwater. Because those aren't levy supported, they're supported by the user or the ratepayers. I've backed out those payments. If you look at the far right-hand columns, or set of columns that talks about combined debt service, that's the levy-supported debt service of your existing payments, plus these new payments. And I would just point out, this year you've budgeted over $4,160,000 for debt payments. Inclusive of these issues, that would actually drop for your 2018 budget. So it drops down to $3.9 million. And you can see we've got this structure that continues to drop. Now that allows the city to layer in future financing. So I'm not suggesting it's going to, your debt's going to drop off, but you're able to layer in future borrowings without seeing big spikes in your total debt levy. So with that, I'd be glad to go into more detail or answer questions.
I have it on. Everything you said is clear. Anyone else have any questions of Brad? If not, thank you, Brad. Appreciate it, Brad. And with that said, then we'll go to item 15, Resolution 3-2017, authorizing the state trust fund loan in the amount of $242,355 for the following items: finance building improvements, $88,450. Aerial photography, $25,000. Police vehicles, $128,905. Move to approve. Second by Jim Olson. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 16. The financing plan and timeline for the 2070 capital improvements budget. Move to approve.
Second
by Jim Olson. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 17, State of Alaska 2017 capital projects, general obligation corporate person bonds and state trust fund loan, Resolution 5-2017. Initial resolution authorizing $180,000 general obligation bonds for sanitary sewer projects. Move to approve. Second by Harvey Bertrand. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 17B, Resolution 6-2017, initial resolution authorizing $250,000 general obligation bonds for storm sewer projects. Move to approve. Second by Harvey Bertrand. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 17C, Resolution 7-2017, initial resolution authorizing $400,000 general obligation bonds for parks and public realm projects. Move to approve. Second by Jim Olson. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 17D, Resolution 8-2017, initial resolution authorizing $1,785,000 general obligation bonds for street improvement projects. Move to approve. Second by Harvey Bertrand. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 17E, Resolution 9-2017, initial resolution authorizing $585,000 general obligation bonds for fire department equipment. Move to approve. Second by Jim Olson. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 17F, Resolution 10-2017, initial resolution authorizing $95,000 general obligation bonds for water system projects. Move to approve. Second by Harvey Bertrand. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 17G, Resolution 11-2017, directing publication notice to electors. Move to approve. Second by Jim Olson. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 17H, Resolution 12-2017, providing the sale of $3,295,000 general obligation bonds, corporate purpose bonds. Move to approve. Second by Harvey Bertrand. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Thank you for coming in, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
Yep. Okay, back to the agenda. 4, Omni Center financials. Fred?
Okay, in your packet is the financials that I ran back on February 1st. Pretty close to, I had to do a few additional journal entries and a few accounts receivables from the time this was reprinted. Your financial that you have in front of you shows a deficit of $23,964.23 after I made the adjustment for the December transfer from the tourism, as well as a couple modifications to a couple the benefit accounts for sick leave and vacation. Brings the most recent statement will show $18,465 deficit compared to the $23,000 submitted early. And I don't expect it to move a whole lot because it's pretty close to being what I pretty much call in place.
Yep, I make a motion to accept the report. Second. Second by Jim Olson. And under discussion, I think Dan's made it right if you could keep things that are at. I think last year was a little worse than was that many years ago. Here 2 years was nearing 6 digits. So thank you, Dan. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 5, transfer department funds within each department 2016 general fund budget.
Okay, in the upcoming document or the item on the agenda is the City of Onalaska is required under General Accounting Standards Board as well as General Accounting Practices, GASB and GAAP, to be in compliance in the general fund. So anything that had more than a $500 shortage within each department, we need to get them in GASB and GAAP compliance, and that is what line item number 5 is doing. It's taking the financial report on F5, and you'll see a minusing or plussing within each department. That's in the third column from the right side coming in. That is what we're doing there where the arrow is. Other than that, I don't have any questions unless you do.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second by Harvey Bertrand, and you're just getting into compliance, correct? With that said, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Resolution 14-2017 to transfer funds to and from various departments in the 2016 general fund budget in the amount of $72,600. Move to approve. Second. Second by Jim Olson. Any comment, Fred?
Any comment I need to make is from the time you handed this out, there's 2 corrections to the resolution. The IT account 100-51540-310 is really 200-290 instead of -210. The other item, planning 56900-291 is really supposed to be 290. Other than that, there is no other change. What we have is the bottom accounts of the resolution need assistance from another department, and the top accounts is where there is dollars to transfer.
Okay, then with that said, we'll move on with the motion. As through the other stand, we'll clean the resolution, go to the council up. Correct, Fred? Okay, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 7, designated fund balance, general fund and or special revenue funds 2016. A, adjust existing designated fund balance. Fred?
Okay, on 7A, through the budget process in 2016, we had set aside through the budget $7,225 to be placed in the ongoing sinking fund, and that is what 7A is doing. And if we can do each one separately, or do you want to discuss them all now?
No, I'm going to make a motion to make the adjustment of $7,025. My reason is it's very clear in front of us what you're doing.
Second.
Second by Harvey Bertrand. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 7B, motion to establish new designated fund balance equipment replacement fund 2016. Fred?
Okay, in your attachment, we had a couple departments, and Chief Dominic is here, as well as Dan Wick, and also Mike Delauer and Hope is here on behalf of the IT. Those departments, for an example, the $41,750 was budgeted in 2016, but due to time, it just was not being able to be completed. So we're actually taking the dollars and restricting it as it was intended for it to be done in 2017. And Chief Dominic's memo attached is what he's requesting for $3,900, and Department Head Dan Wick is requesting $8,735 be set aside as outlined in his memo.
consent and make a motion to approve. Second by Jim Olson. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 8, change to the designated fund balance, undesignated fund balance for the Tourism Fund 2016. Fred again.
Okay, the city for quite some time has been setting aside $5,000 annually for a future sinking fund for the building for the tourism. And since the city is no longer heading down that direction, I'm requesting that the $150,000 designated fund balance within the tourism be reallocated back to what I call the undesignated fund within the tourism fund.
Move to approve. Second. Second by Jim Olson. Any discussion or comment on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Resolution 13-2017, authorization to transfer from the 2016 general fund budget to the special revenue fund and special projects Dairy Green Onalaska Police Department in the amount of $3,500. Move to approve.
Second.
Second by Harvey Bertrand. Discussion on that motion. If not, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 10, consideration to transfer to general fund accounts payable for the anticipated expenditures, the amount of $41,856. Move to approve.
Second.
Second by Harvey Bertrand. Discussion on that motion. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 11, update regarding the City of Onalaska Municipal Court accounts receivable in case of 2016. Fred?
Okay, the financial that's enclosed, a couple things on the backside. The judge has authorized the removal of 2010 was removed because after so many years it allows the judge to remove uncollected funds. However, it doesn't mean that they no longer will be collecting them, as they will continue to make attempts to collect them even, but from a book's point of view it's removed. And then we added the 2016 outstanding with the accounts receivable. So currently the Onalaska's accounts receivable sits at $532,181.79. With that said, just to follow up, as you know, or may not be aware that after, I think I would say within 90 days after the 90-day window, the Joint Municipal Court is in place to letters are sent, and any outstanding debt other than the juvenile people is turned over to the state debt collection. And so there's a mechanism in place now that will automatically trigger any citations that are not paid, so there's no waiting period. It's an automatic after 90 days. Letters go out, state debt collection and TRIP are automatically activated.
Okay. And this is just informational, correct?
That's correct.
Any questions of Fred? What was the judge's rationale again for eliminating, I believe it was 2010?
The year before we eliminated, we delete 2009, so that you'd after the fifth year drops off.
Right.
Otherwise, we were booking a lot of debt that was most likely highly uncollectible. This allows the financials to be more accurate, but at the same time, it doesn't, I should say, release the individuals from paying.
Okay, thank you. 12, update regarding credit card usage and cost, utility billing, Insight, and e-box for 2016. Fred again.
Okay, F12, all it is strictly information, but it is kind of exciting to look at it. And we're talking about the e-box first. As you can see throughout the entire year with e-box, and just give you an idea what the different mechanisms are. E-box is where someone is at home making a notation to their bank that they want X amount of dollars transferred to the City of Onalaska at a certain date. And all this stuff is happening electronically at a certain date by when the customer wants it. Last year, you can see the total. We took in $529,306, and it was 3,866 transactions. And if you take a look, the January, the April, the July, and October, that's when our water billings are going out. And so you can see, but what equates to is almost 3,900 individuals paid their water bills without a single employee other than one person hitting a couple keys on a computer to giving the person's credit within their account. In other words, there was nobody coming to the counter, ringing up at the register, counting the money. The next one is the Utility Billing Insight. Utility Billing Insight is a mechanism where the individual has their charge card at home, and they go ahead and go right onto go to our website, and are able to do it at no cost to them, and it happens automatically. We started that in July. As you can see, in the July billing we had 287. October it's up to 406, and I'm sure in January continues to climb, because now this is not costing them a dime. Like I say, if somebody was to come to the counter and pay with a charge card, there's a convenience fee. If they do it online through the Utility Insight, it's no cost to them. And this Utility Billing Insight is going to be growing in this year, and as later on this year, into the inspection department, where people will be able to pull building permits and do all these nice little things and come through the system. Again, this is 776 transactions that nobody had to touch, other than a transfer of the file. And then the last one is what they call the credit card usage. As you can see, we did $331,280.26 in transactions. December is always high, as well as well, you can see the billings are always high, but the reason December is so high because a lot of people decide to pay their taxes with a charge card, even though it costs them a convenience fee. And account is up on top. You see we had 1,371 on Visa. Master charge was $653.69 for Discovery. And then we already talked about sales. Now the key thing, the reason we continue to monitor this, and we do this every quarter back to you, is we charge a 2% convenience fee. The intent when they first started this was not to make any dollars on it, but I wanted to show you that we have roughly close to a $4,000 loss with this service. Again, I still think it's a good service, and I think it's still, at this point, I don't see any reason to tweak in the convenience fee. I think it's still a good service for them.
Well, and on the other hand, too, 700 and some transactions, well, what if it had this, if they're all done manually? I think it's going to cost you a little more than $4,000.
Yes.
Any questions of Fred? If not, then we'll move on. Resolution 15-2017 to amend the 2016 general fund budget and transfer the special revenue replacement fund 2016 in the amount of $258,000. I move to approve. Second. Second by Jim Olson. Discussion on the motion. If not, only a comment, and I think this recommendation coming from Fred is smart. And the reason I say that is that it's 6 months ago, even looking at the budget for 2018, the potential threats that are out there as growth last year was $28 million, and only about $10 million of that will be on the property tax rolls, which means your revenues would be $75,000 coming in. Then, of course, the other threats that are always out there is health insurance. We don't know where that's going to go yet. Life limits and expenditure restraint programs are still in place too. And then more importantly, and I imagine the next 3 months, which you will probably see, is if there's going to be anything is chipped out of that federal deficit, and how that may or may not impact states and trickle on down to local government. So, on the other hand, Fred's intent here is stuff you would normally budget for equipment. You won't have to next year because you got a funder and you can transfer in to cover all that. I hope that made sense. Any questions on the resolution at all? If not, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. 14, Gunnison Health System Parking Ramp, third and fourth quarter annual for 2016, Fred.
Okay, in your packet, well, actually, I sent in your packet the third quarter, and Gunnison Lutheran apologized. He didn't give me when I had requested the information, he didn't realize he didn't give me the third quarter, so we got but then I attached to your packet the fourth quarter. So we're actually doing the third and fourth quarter for the Gunderson Lutheran, but you can see things are pretty consistent. I think it's the same thing that you're seeing out at the ramp is the same thing the city of Onalaska is seeing as electricity costs were down compared to, if you see the city of Onalaska was the same way, the electricity costs were down from 16 compared to 15. You can see the $14,607 compared to the $26,950. Other than that, if you look down the line, the costs for the ramp costs that Gunderson Lutheran is paying is pretty consistent throughout, with the exception of the electricity. The car count is pretty consistent from what they have in the past. Other than that, I don't have anything more to add.
Motion to approve the report.
Second.
Second by Jim Wilson. Discussion, any further questions or Fred at all? If not, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Thank you, Fred. Personnel hold. Review and consideration of out-of-state travel for Nick Carlson and Dan Meyer to attend the 2017 North American Snow Conference in Des Moines, Iowa on April 23rd through April 26th, 2017. Move to approve. Seconded by Harvey Bertrand. In our discussion, I think everything I was given a package is clear as to what they're doing there. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. 19, review and consideration of renewal of Gunderson Occupational Health Service Agreement for 2017. Move to approve.
Second.
Second by Jim Bolson. Under discussion. This is a program we continue. That's just a contract has to be renewed every year. Any discussion or questions of all? If not, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 20, update on Association of Onalaska Firefighters International Association of Firefighters Local 4169. This is an informational.
Yes, and I just wanted to let you know they have decided to merge with the City of La Crosse's local, so they'll have a name change that'll be coming through. I'm waiting to get a memorandum of understanding from them. I've not received it yet, but they're working on something, so you will likely see something coming up in the future. Otherwise, the contract and everything else should not change.
All right, thank you. With that said, closed session. To consider a motion to convene in a closed session under section 19.85, parent 1, parent G of the Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning a strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. And in this case, it's a claim regarding a slip and fall on a city sidewalk. If any action is required in open session as a result of the closed session, the committee will reconvene in open session to take the necessary action and or continue on with the present agenda. Move to go to closed session. Second by Harvey Bertrand. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.